say you're in on that.
No, I mean Sam, absolutely. Sam looked really freaking good. He dropped the
Okay.
dime to Ronnie Bell. He made a few nice throws, even the off balance throw to Latu, where Latu ended up coughing it up. That killed one of his drives. I wanted to see Sam get another drive.
I did too.
I thought
Same.
Allen might have came in a series early, but that being said, Allen looked pretty solid, made some throws in that intermediate part of the field. But yeah, I got to be honest and tell you, my eyes told me Darnold played better than Lance today.
If Darnold is the number 2 guy, now let's just say that what we saw today is it, right? Who knows, right? Who knows? And I'm not saying he is, but if Darnold is the number 2 guy, if you're the Niners, you keep Trey as the number 3, or you make Brandon Allen the number 3 and move off of Trey Lance somehow, some way, for whatever.
I don't think you're going to get anything of value, so I think you keep him.
Let's say you're going to get let's say you're going to get what you were going to get at the draft, 5th round pick.
A 5th round pick, and then
you take a 5th round pick. You took Hafanga in the 5th. You took Kittle in the 5th. You took Greenlaw in the 5th. It's not like a 5th round pick is nothing. Would you take a 5th if Darnold is the number 2 and Lance is the number 3? This is also a cap deal because you got $9 million of cap.
Does that free up? Is that cap hit like already locked in, or that would be freed up if
you would free up $3.76 million in a Trey Lance trade situation? Would you do it for cap reasons and to get down the road and have this controversy be behind you, or do you say no? Young player, too talented.
Freeing up $3 million is not enough. If the whole 9 was coming off the books, and that kind of opens up some avenues potentially for a mid-season trade, but opening up $3 million isn't doing it for me at that point. No, I'm keeping Lance.
I hear you.
I may have been overly critical of Trey Lance today, but even I'm not gonna. I would say no.
I would say no as well.
You need to get something more important back than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll say this. I'm going to try to be consistent on this. I'm only moving Trey Lance if I can get something that's going to help me win the Super Bowl this year. I don't want to move him for a pick. If I'm going to move him, I'm not saying I wouldn't move him, but if I'm going to move him, I want Montez Sweat. I'll even give Trey and something to get a player that helps you. If Tampa wants him, I want their right tackle Gadecki or Devin White, or I want something. I want a player that's going to play right now. I don't want a pick down the road. If I'm Shanahan, if I'm all in on win the Super Bowl this year with Brock Purdy, and they are, then if you move Trey Lance, you sure as hell better get something in the present, because the chances are on the back end he could be good, and then you got to win. You got to either win the deal up front or you got to win the deal on the back end. You can't lose the deal up front and lose the deal on the back end. NG49 says, I'm a Trey guy, but he looked rusty. If that's it, then Brock better be it. Our O-line has no depth, which is not good, unless LVR are that good, unless the Las Vegas Raiders are that good. I don't know. Well, I mean, here's the bottom line. Go look at the snaps for the offensive line. When a team plays 70 snaps, your starting O-line plays 70 snaps. It's on the D-line where your backups play. Now, I like Feliciano, and I think there's some good things to say about, the potential down the road of like a Poe or a Zakel, maybe Fisher as a guard. But I don't like the backup tackles. And, that's a big part of it. I mean, the step down from the Niners. Who were the starting tackles today? Did you guys see?
Jalen Moore was out there. And to be honest, Jalen Moore didn't stand out. So I think that's a good thing, because I feel like when you're watching offensive line, it's usually when they screw up is when you notice them. Like I've been getting on Zakel. But, yeah, I know Jalen Moore, and I want to say it was Matt Pryor at right tackle getting the start.
They didn't – when they ran in this game, they ran into a stone wall. Not only was it a little bit of jailbreak on their quarterbacks with no Crosby, no Chandler Jones out there, which always makes you nervous, but more importantly, they could not open run lanes for their power backs between the tackles.
Raiders
At all.
dominated the trenches. They dominated the trenches.
Dominated the trenches. Not good to see. Another super here from Ricky Williams. He says, Ambry Thomas, man, we need him to perform this year. E-Man was the truth. Big shoes to fill. I'm with Ricky. Ambry's looked good in practice, guys, and he looked good today. And you got Ambry, you got Womack, you got Jameson, you got Lenore, you got obviously Mooney, you got Oliver, you got Quantrez. The Niners do have some good corner depth. To me, I mean, I loved what I saw out of Graham, and I loved what I saw out of Jameson, and I loved what I saw out of Quantrez. And then I got Ambry down the list as well. But there was I didn't like what I saw from obviously the kicker, Isaiah Oliver, Nick Sakel struggled, Tay Martin struggled, Cameron Latou's at the top of the list, and then I would just say in general, the Niner O-line and the Niner D-line. Matthew Rowley, has he been fidgety every start because he looked like he has every other game in this start? I don't know if Trey, I thought he looked pretty good in the second half against the Texans, but there's the problem with Trey to this point has been there's been enough inconsistency that they just fall behind the chains. They wind up punting. He makes a good play, makes a bad play. There's not a lot of consistency. I'll tell you the other thing I noticed with Trey, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this. The offense doesn't seem ever like it's in rhythm with him. Like when Darnold came in, 2-3 plays in, you felt like, hey, they got a little rhythm here. They got a little rhythm. They didn't. I almost have never felt like Trey's established a rhythm, maybe at any point in any game. I mean, now he hasn't played a lot, but go back to the Chicago game. There wasn't a lot of rhythm there. Go back to the Houston game. I think they were scoreless in the first half. There's not a lot of rhythm. He's got big playability. He's got a strong arm. But as far as establishing a rhythm, ball coming out on time, where you feel like he's in command, he doesn't give you that feeling right now.
Well, I mean, it was because he had 3 and outs to start the game. Or was it 2 or 3? I forget. But
3.
The drive that ended in a touchdown was
no rhythm.
There was some rhythm towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end. But I mean, in the first 3 drives, no first downs, no rhythm. I mean, that's what establishes a rhythm is you get a couple first downs.
Yeah, it just seems like he gives the vibe. Like the vibe comes off a lot. Like, it's like first down run, you get 2 yards, and then it's like sack, and then it's incomplete, and then we're off the field. And that's how it went for the first couple drives, which kind of reminded me of the Chicago Bears game.
Green Glass Full says Trey is a fantasy for the biased and grifters. Wow. A lot of supers today. Mark Hope says fidgety equals indecisiveness equals bad quarterbacking. Fidgety sounds better, though, doesn't it? Fidgety sounds kind of like it's solvable, it's temporary. Bad quarterbacking sounds like it's a sentence. Fidgety just sounds like it's nerves. I'm going to go with fidgety. Mark Hope says Trey's jump pass will get him killed in the regular season game. I have no problem with that pass. I thought it was resourceful, to be honest.
I thought that was his best play, and the reason being is it was an empty play, and it was a passing play. The play broke down, and he ran out the pocket and then made the throw on the run. Like that's the most you could ask for a player in that position to do. So
Roberto Davis's really tough game, really rough game for Trey. We better hope Brock's forearm is solid. That's his elbow. Darnold does not look like a viable option. I thought Darnold did look like a viable option.
I agree.
I thought Darnold looked really solid. I thought Darnold looked, like he looks about every third or fourth practice. Like really, like you look at it today. I thought, look at the ball that he completed was Ronnie Bell. Was that who it was? The deep ball?
Yeah.
That thing was just, you couldn't have handed it to him any better than that.
Perfect. Dimer.
Yeah, that was a flat dime. Any way you sliced it. Double B Studio, these quarterbacks play like they didn't practice enough. Well, that's not the case. They've been out there practicing their butts off. And they'll be back out Tuesday, and I'll be there for it. Keneal Mason says, shouldn't have we expected him to have nerves in his first game action in 11 months after he got his ankle broken behind an iffy at best O-line? That's a great point. That's a great point by Keneal. I was hoping that he wouldn't look nervous and wouldn't look fidgety and he wouldn't look like he had a lot of nerves because I thought he didn't show that in practice, but he definitely showed he looked uncomfortable at the beginning of this game. G-Code Travels Vlog POV. Thank you, Larry, for the prediction. All right. You're welcome. Sacha Brady says those who like Trey Lance are in hiding while those who want him to fail are on the prowl tonight. I want to see if he learns from his mistakes next week. That's fair.
Seriously.
That's fair. JEB. A lot of fans just turned racist. BCB is QB1. I'm a 53-year-old man. I've got 4 kids and a wife. I can't call Brock Purdy BCB. I just can't. I just can't. I can call him Brock. I can call him Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Relevant, but I can't call him BCB. I just can't. Double B Studio. This team played with no chemistry because of Kyle. He's blaming Kyle. Do you agree with that, guys? How much is Kyle to blame for this preseason game?
I don't think
to me, I don't go there. I just can't go there. You're going to blame the coach because your team looks flat in preseason game number 1. I don't know.
There were no starters playing.
He's not running his regular offense either. He's just running the basic plays, right? He's not scheming up 33 plays in a row to run a script on for a preseason game. He's not. It's not the same thing. So
that's really it right there. What Kev just hit. He's not scheming anything. The guy is a play caller and a play sequencer of note. And then let's be honest about this. If the Niners have one thing that you can say definitively about their offense, they may be a little top heavy. They got a really good running back. They got a really good tight end. They got 2 really good wide receivers. They got a really good left tackle. When I say really good, I'm talking about some of the best players in the league. But when you have really, really good starters, oftentimes your backups are just kind of right? Just kind of okay. Their depth behind Trent, their tackle depth, very iffy. They didn't open run holes today. I like the running back depth, but they didn't play particularly well. I actually kind of thought, who was the last back out there? McNichols? I thought McNichols might have looked. I thought McNichols looked like the best back today in a lot of ways.
McNichols he did pop. He had some good runs. Yeah.
From what I'm reading on the stats, I think he might have had 1 good run because this says he had 4 carries for 7 yards.
Oh.
I don't know.
I thought he popped one.
Thought he looked good. Maybe one of those got called back.
I think maybe he had one that went back for -4 or something.
Double B Studio says the Raiders look like a hungry team and a hungry coach. They should be. They're a bad team. They're trying to establish themselves, new culture. They're at home. Glass half full guy. How much can you realistically take from this game in the 49ers only scoring 7 points?
Just a little bit. You're looking for individual performances, right? We're looking for who played well, who screwed up. I feel like we broke that down pretty good because win or loss, it doesn't freaking matter. But you're trying to look for the good and the bad from a player, from a roster standpoint. Remember, these guys, they're fighting for their life. They want to make this NFL roster.
When I'm looking at these, who flashed positively, negatively, almost all of the guys who flashed for me were defensive guys. The only offensive guys that I thought flashed at all were Ronnie Bell, Sam Darnold, and Ross Dwelly.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody else that flashed I thought was on defense. USMC, #49er. U.S. Marine Corps, so we're getting there. Thank you for your service. He says, so help me understand. 10 for 15 with a drop by Mason, so it's 11 for 15 and you're a bust. You have to see the all-22. Yeah, I mean, it's not – I mean, he threw a touchdown that was an interception. So that kind of changes things. to me, it was about holding the ball too long, not seeing it. The clock was a little slow, and he threw 2 INTs that got dropped. He also had some good passes as well, and we kind of outlined those as well. I thought, I think Kev said it best. He looked a little nervous early, but then when he got into a rhythm, he looked better. So like this, since we're kind of, we have to come up with one grade, I would say overall it was like a C effort from Trey. An F in the first 3 series and how nervous he looked and a couple of those bad balls, but then like a B for some of the good throws that he made and for, continuing to keep it rolling behind this line and finishing what he finished with, 10 of 15. But those are big mistakes. Big mistakes.
Yeah. I'd give him a C-. I think he started off terrible, and then he really picked it up with some good over the middle passes. But the last drive, he almost threw another pick. And both of those drop picks were legit drop picks. They weren't like tip passes. They were like in the hands of the guy.
I mean, the second one, I thought the linebacker kind of read his eyes, kind of made a good play on the ball. Like he was running and he was outstretched. Like Lance didn't throw it right to the linebacker's chest. I think that kind of attributed to the drop. But that being said, it was a drop pick. Like there's no way getting around it. Like we've outlined, there was some good. Probably the bad outweighed the good. That's why they only scored 7 points and even the 7 points it was a lucky 7. So I think Kev is kind of right on the money with that C- grade. I think that's where I'd put it too.
Binyam Hala Mariam, and if I butchered that, Binyam, I apologize. He says, keep it 100 and give the Raiders this one versus our young Bucks. No doubt. I mean, I don't think anybody here is saying we're not giving this to the Raiders. I thought the Raiders looked pretty good. Let's talk about the Raiders for just a second. I thought Aiden O'Connell looks like a future NFL starting quarterback. I thought that was they got themselves a nice quarterback. I think Zamir White looks like a solid player for sure. I didn't love their receivers, but and their defense was just kind of But I mean, Jordan Willis is clearly going to help them on defense.
That hurt.
Jordan Willis I think is a nice pickup. The Raiders are not there yet. That Matthew Butler, the big defensive lineman, I guess he went out with a little bit of an injury. He kind of flashed early. But I think if you're a Raider fan, you walk out of this one going, hey, we got Jimmy G, but we may have a decent young quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. I mean, now, granted, the Niners didn't put any real rush on him, but 15 of 18 for 141 yards and a touchdown, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he was dicing out there. He was really dicing it up. He looked great. And they didn't even have Tyree Wilson playing, their first-round pick. So that defensive line just outmatched
or Michael Mayer.
49ers. You just got to basically pray that the 49ers backup offensive line doesn't have to play that much this year because that was a bad showing for them.
Yeah.
Niner
Jason
backup O-line is young.
Yeah,
There's nobody there.
Turned the guy loose, and the backup center, like on the quarterback sneak, Darnold put together that drive. QB sneak, you're thinking you're going to extend it. I believe it's 67. Hold up, I got to get a name on this one.
The Niners
How about didn't play before that?
The Niners couldn't
spot him.
Keith Ismail got blown off the ball.
Ishmael's not an NFL starter for sure. That was Was that
that was when TDP got the first down?
Where was that exactly? Second half, right? No, first half. Second half.
It was Darnold, so it was
second half. Let me look that one up real quick. 4th and 1, Darnold stuffed. Yeah, so on 3rd and short, TDP had a nice second effort, and it was a terrible spot. Did you see the spot on that? They didn't give him his second effort. Yeah. I mean, in the regular season, you probably challenge that on 3rd down, get a better spot. But 4th and 1, they didn't move the line at all. 808 Niner says, Trey wasn't good today, but Papa and Ryan were blaming him for getting sacked. 3 of the 4 sacks they got in off the snap. Can't hide their bias.
He's right. 3 of the 4 sacks, there was instant pressure, whether it was Zakel or Poe, immediately. And one of them, I could put one of the sacks on Trey felt like he held it too long. Again, when the all-22 comes out, we'll dissect whether a receiver was running open. But yeah, I agree with 808 here. 3 of the 4, I feel like the O-line gave him no shot.
Well, I don't know if they were blaming him for getting the sacks. I think they were just pointing out the fact that he was holding it too long, because I think the plays that he held it too long on were plays that he threw. Like he threw the ball, but he held the ball too long. I mean, you could see the one where we got the angle from behind the center, and you could see, I think it was Dwelly or Warner or Fumagalli off to the left, and he took a 3-step drop, and the ball's got to come out. That ball's got to come out. The guy was open. There wasn't like a defender there. He just hesitated. And if you hesitate, you just
I mean, I kind of agree with Baller on that one, but at the same time, there was like, it wasn't like it was a play action pass, and then as soon as he turned around to throw it, he's like getting hit. It was more like 1, 2, 3 step back, look at the first read, and then the first read isn't there, and then the pass rush is coming, I'm sacked. So it's kind of his fault. It's kind of really not his fault. It's really the offensive line's fault, but it wasn't immediate pressure, I'd say. Like
Manny Fresh says, what do the other quarterbacks do well? They had 0 points combined. Yeah, no, I hear that. I thought Darnold looked pretty good, but it's a team deal, right? And they weren't. Trey got the only points. Frank Tom Ocean, my instant reaction. What is that emoji? Can you guys decipher that emoji?
I think it's like a defeated, sad emoji.
Yeah, he's like looking down, crying.
Looking down, crying. All right. Sorry about that. DM says, not impressed with our defensive coordinator. Once again, it's preseason game number 1. You got a great defensive line up front. Your 1s on your D-line are good. It's your 2s and your 3s on the D-line that are a little bit questionable.
And I didn't see one blitz. I saw a 4-man rush all game. I don't know if you guys saw. I think it's super vanilla,
very vanilla.
DM. I get where you're coming from, because I wasn't impressed either, but like Krug said, you got to remember it's preseason. It was just very vanilla defensively.
I was super excited by Jalen Graham. I mean, look at what they have in Jalen Graham. He's fast. He's instinctive. He looks good. Yeah. D. Winters had a nice play. Marcelino had some nice plays. The young linebackers, the Niner linebacking depth is real. And all I would say, and Flanagan Fowles played well. Oren Burks, I guess, was hurt. Did you guys hear what the Oren Burks injury was?
I
didn't either. And Curtis Robinson, I heard Greg say, hurt his shoulder. So we'll see how.
I don't know if that actually happened. I think I don't know.
Was he guessing on that?
I think he might have gotten up gingerly, but I'm not sure if he came out. The only thing I will say is those linebackers, they fit up well in the run, but they were not having a good game in the pass.
They were covering grass in the pass game. Like, they were tight. Frothing Mother, whatever his name is, was running free all over the place.
Frothing Mother.
I was impressed with the way they held up in the run game, but like I said, I thought the play action pass, they were biting on it, and guys are running free on the over routes. So yeah.
Carlos says, if we lose a starter on the O-line, all of our quarterbacks are going to play. God, he's probably right. Mr. Blum, or Mr. Blue Magic 23 said, every quarterback should get the same critique, period.
Fair enough.
I mean, they played different games. They had different strengths and weaknesses, but I hear you. Carlos says, Latu and Moody's whiffs drop to instead of Latu has.
Why don't we talk about that for a second? The 3rd round picks for the 49ers are not looking good. I mean, except for Jair Brown. He actually looked really good today. But what do you guys feel about the Latu pick and the Moody pick being kind of a reach at the time, and now looking how they're playing now?
Go ahead.
You know what?
Go ahead, Crew.
I just don't. I mean, my first reaction is often my best reaction. But you know what? I didn't love the Purdy pick at the time either, so maybe that's not true. But I really didn't like the Latu pick because they were better tight ends. It was a deep crop of tight ends. I thought they could have gotten them in the 5th round. You could have gone with an offensive tackle there. The BYU Blake Freeland, I think, was there. There were other guys there that I really liked in the third round. I mean, I could call up the draft and look, tell you exactly. And then the kicker in the third round, it's like I hate inventing. You had Robbie Gold and he wanted to come back, and you invented another need for out of thin air, and I hate that. I hate teams that you go into the draft, well, you need this and you need that, and then, but wait a second, between the end of the regular season and the draft, we invented a new need, and now we're going to try to fill that need, and I just didn't feel it was a need. I mean, they could have re-signed Robbie Gold. They traded for Zane Gonzalez. Nothing against, I mean, it's easy to rip Moody today because Moody went 0 for 2, but, it's just like, so the Niners took Cameron Latu at pick number 101. They took Moody at pick number 99. Who was on the board at that point? Jacorian Bennett, the corner from Maryland, who's with the Raiders. Blake Freeland, as I just said, was on the board. I love the guy from Northwestern who went to the Colts, Adetomiwa Adebare, the defensive lineman who had such a crazy workout. Dawan Jones, the gigantic offensive tackle from Ohio State, went a few picks later. They were just, I mean, it was too early in the draft, I thought, for a kicker and a tight and that tight end. I thought there were a lot better players on the board. Viliami Fehoko, the San Jose State edge rusher, went to Dallas a few picks later. I really like him. Aiden O'Connell. Heck, you could have had Aiden O'Connell. Darius Rush, Clayton Tune, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'll give you one. Izzy Abanaconda. I love Izzy. Jamie Robinson from Florida State. These guys were all on the board at this point. So, I mean, the Niners went with Darrell Luter in the 5th round, but between the 3rd round and the 5th round, there were some damn good players there. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's easy to be mad at the kicker after he misses 2 kicks. He does have a monster leg. He did make a high percentage of his kicks in camp. The guy was absolutely awesome in camp. But was it nerves today? I mean, it was a dome. You got perfect conditions. You got a perfect, opening debut conditions for your NFL debut, and he was wide right and wide left.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about Cameron Latu, but I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, drafting a kicker in the 3rd round and he misses the first 2, it's like you're probably sweating right now if you're John Lynch a little bit at least. And I know Brad.
You got Robbie Gold a phone call away. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
I remember Brad. You call Robbie Gold and say, Robbie, meet us in Santa Clara on Tuesday. I mean, seriously, what would you do? What would you do? I mean, not to interrupt you, Kev, but what would you do if this was Moody and you owned Moody? Would you go with Zane Gonzalez if Moody struggles throughout the preseason? Do you call up Robbie Gold? I mean, it's, how do you react? I mean, you don't just I think Jake Moody has to have a good preseason to make this team. There's too much competition, and Robbie Gold's sitting by a phone. Robbie Gold's never missed in the playoffs. For all we know, Jake Moody could be a footnote. Remember that 3rd round kicker? I mean, Robbie Gold could probably kick 2 or 3 more years.
I think you're just happy that there's 2 more games to play before you have to make that decision, honestly.
I'm not panicking on Moody. I know he missed the kicks today. The 40-yarder, it felt like he barely missed that one. One thing I noticed is kicks, naturally, they go right to left. And the misses he had at Michigan, it felt like he missed the majority of them on the left side, like that 40-yarder. And then, I mean, a 58, like, I think you can kind of put that one aside. Like, you're probably not even going to attempt that in most games. So I kind of put the 58-yarder to the side. But, yeah, you're going to want to see him make some kicks here. But I'm not pushing the panic button on Moody. I'm more concerned about Latu because, Larry, we went live right after that draft, and neither one of us were fans of the Latu pick. The tight end position, I didn't scout every player or all the positions coming out into this draft, but the tight end position, knowing the Niners needed 1 or 2, I scouted tight end. And after I watched the tape on Latu, my notes, part of it said not overly impressed with what I'm seeing. And now he's dropping balls. That being said, I'm also watching Braden Willis really closely. That's my guy. Today, I know he caught 1 ball like on an out route for 5 yards. So I can't say he was dominating out there, but I got a close eye on Braden Willis because I do favor him when we're talking about the two rookie tight ends like Latu. Man, I'm not sure if he's going to make this team.
I mean, yeah, I think that at this point is especially because
it's a competitive position.
Yeah, I mean, and do they go with 4 tight ends or do they go with 3? I mean, I think a lot of people think they're going with 4, but I've done the exercise of paring down the roster to 53, and it is not an easy deal.
They kept 3 last year.
It's going to be tough. I mean, who are the other tight ends? Josh Wiley from Cincinnati. He went later to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Will Mallory from Miami, who's a very good receiver. He went to the Indianapolis Colts later on. Payne Durham was the tight end that I really liked that was still on the board. He's from Purdue. He went to Tampa in the 5th round. Davis Allen went to the Rams in the 5th round. I mean, it was a really good tight end draft. There was a lot of good tight ends there.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I was going to say is that I know some guys like Brad Graham and a few others were really high on Blake Freeland, and seeing the Niners pass up on him 3 times and seeing them how bad they played in the offensive line today kind of hurts. Not going to lie.
Yeah, no question. Miguel Ruiz. So we think the 7th round pick was single-handedly Kyle's pick. Love Brock and love you, Larry. But come on, someone else in the organization did their scouting and homework on Brock Purdy, Larry. I'll agree to disagree. I mean, believe me, I know enough about these organizations. I mean, I think also John Lynch is already on record as saying that a guy named Slowick, I think it was Kevin Slowick, was the guy who's the scout who banged the table for Brock Purdy. So, yeah, I mean, it's oftentimes not your head coach. And it's very possible that Kyle Shanahan had no input at all on Brock Purdy. I'm not, but I mean, so if Kyle didn't have any input on Brock, how much input did he have on Trey? We don't know. I mean, these are all speculative things at this point, right? Whose guy is whose guy, GTC Real says C- effort by Trey. I think the goal was to get Trey under pressure, to get him to read and fire. The pass-run ratio was on purpose for a reason. I have no problem with the number of passes being called early on. I just don't. And I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan was sabotaging Trey Lance. Mr. Blue Magic says no quarterback on the roster can win us a Super Bowl this year. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they got to the NFC Championship game with Brock Purdy last year. Flav, Trey reminded me of watching Josh Johnson and CMC in that NFC Championship game again. The lack of rhythm and the tempo is palpable when he's in the game. Oof. Gosh.
I think that's an exaggeration.
Might be an exaggeration.
Always a little.
He's a little
harsh.
He goes a little. He runs a little hot. He runs a little hot. John Farr says, if Cousins is gone for sure, maybe a swap for Lance is a win-win for both parties. Throw in a mid-round pick if needed. Player for cap reasons. Fits the 49er timeline. Gives us some comfort. Wow. What do you mean if Cousins is? Oh, he's saying if Cousins is gone in Minnesota. If Minnesota, we'll throw this to you guys now. I'll throw it to the chat as well. I want your guys' opinions. Minnesota's GM. I don't know who that is. I think it's the guy at Adolfo, maybe, who used to work for the Niners. Minnesota's GM calls. They say, we'll give you Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance. Right now. You say what?
I think
yes.
Optically that's a terrible. I would say no.
Yeah, I say yes. Now, how you're going to work that out in the cap, I couldn't tell you.
Let's say the cap was a non-issue.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? That is such an easy yes.
And then what? So wait a second, Baller. So in your yes, you're going to sit Brock Purdy.
Yes, I'm sitting Brock Purdy. Kirk Cousins.
They went to the NFC Championship game last year with Brock Purdy.
Come on.
I know, but I mean,
that, bro.
Kirk Cousins is pretty good. Like Kirk Cousins is pretty good. Brock Purdy is also. They're almost in this. They're in the same tier, like Kirk Cousins and Brock. But Cousins, he's got that wealth of experience. I mean, I just watched Quarterbacks on Netflix, so I got that fresh in my mind. The guy
He was whimpering against Buffalo.
Hey, but he's playing through it, Larry. He's moaning and groaning, but he's playing
Oh,
through it.
and then remember that conversation? It all depends on how much I get hit. Remember that conversation? How are you going to play this week, Kirk? It all depends on how much I get hit.
If that actually happened, I wouldn't sit here and be like that's the worst trade of all time. But I think as a GM, you are risking your career on it, because if Trey Lance goes to the other team and plays great and Kirk Cousins plays terrible here, then you can just 1-to-1 compare them.
I do not think Kirk Cousins would play terrible here. He's been good.
I don't either. But
Minnesota Vikings, you put him in here with these weapons we got, I think Kirk Cousins would tear it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong.
So, Kev, you're saying no. Baller's saying yes. I got to break the tie. I think I want something else. Can I get Kirk Cousins in a fifth?
No. You're going to have to if anything, you got to give up a pick with Lance to get Cousins.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, no. I mean, Cousins and Lance are not equal. See, I know Kirk Cousins is better than Lance. It's just the situation they're in. I just feel like it would just end so poorly. But maybe I'm wrong.
Gosh. I'm going to say no. I'm holding on to Trey. Ricky Williams says, I asked Grant, what are the possibilities of us making a trade for a defensive playmaker? He shot me down, almost called me stupid. What are the chances now after the defensive line performed? Well, I mean, first of all, I think part of the reason, Ricky, that Grant shot you down, I don't know firsthand, but I think part of it is just that there aren't a lot of trades, period, in the NFL. And then you say, okay, well, what are you looking for? I'm looking for another defensive end. Like, if I'm moving Trey Lance, I want like Montez Sweat. I'd even trade Trey Lance in a pick to get a Montez Sweat. I mean, I think they need another defensive end. I think
they need another tackle.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to have Hargrave and Armstead.
Yeah, but just for depth.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. They got Hargrave, Armstead, and Bosa and Drake Jackson, and none of them played. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's a little
But if
hard.
you were to evaluate the ends versus the tackles today, I would say that the tackles played better than the ends. I'll say this, though. I would be intrigued as hell. If Tampa really wanted Trey Lance and they were willing to give up, Tampa's like $300,000 over the cap, right? Or under the cap. So they can't trade for Trey Lance unless they move somebody who makes $10 million, roughly. Well, guess who makes $11 million who they were talking about moving? Devin White, who's a free agent at the end of the year. The Niners don't need another inside backer, but Devin White is such an awesome blitzer. He's one of the greatest blitzing linebackers I've ever seen. This guy runs 4.45 at 245 pounds. I'd line him up at defensive end. And send him off the edge. Just blitz him. Just blitz Devin White off the edge. You know, who cares if he's 6'1", 250? Guy runs 4.49, 4.47, whatever it is. I'd take Devin White in a pick for Trey. I mean, there's your star defensive addition. I would absolutely do it. There's just not a lot of trades of NFL defensive players or NFL players, period, or players for players. You don't see a lot.
I can see where Ricky's going with this because the Niners, they have made.
I'm gonna get a glass of water for a second. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Get one more bottle of water here.
I got you. But no, Ricky, I see where you're coming from because the Niners have made these mid-season trades, right? When we're talking Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Willis, Emmanuel Sanders, Charles Omenihu, and opposite Bosa is a huge question mark, right, Kev? So at the middle of the season, if they're not getting that production opposite Bosa, and they still got some cap space, last time I saw it, Niners are still working on like 8 or 9 mil cap space. So maybe they're saving that for the mid-season trade that Ricky's alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we know is the Niners are going all in this year. So I don't think they care. They have a little buffer room to use, and they're going to use it on whatever they need to use it on to keep this train moving. And I think that you're 100% right. It definitely could be a defensive end at the end of it. and they've definitely they've definitely benefited from making those in-season trades. So I think they're definitely they would do it if they need to.
We got this one from Raymond Ansil. He says, isn't this just another poor preseason and sluggish start to the regular season that we've seen every season from Kyle Shanahan? Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Slow starts. There have been some slow starts, including last year, right? It was panic mode.
I mean, we're all fired up to see this, but I don't think, I hope you don't think that, the three of us are dramatically overreacting. I think we're just giving you our opinions. I don't think, I'm not sitting here going, the season's done. It's like, though I didn't love seeing the third round picks, Moody and Latu, fall on their face today. But I'm not losing my mind over this one. Double B Studio, McDaniels didn't play with the starters either. LOL. There you go. The Raiders have a lot to prove, though, and they were at home. Miguel Ruiz says, Larry, I give you more credit for the Brock pick than I would Kyle. Thank you. Thank you.
Which is funny because you didn't even like the pick initially.
Right. Shh, quiet, Kev, quiet.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I'll say that to Kyle when I walk in. Hey, Kyle, Larry Krueger here from the Krug Show. There's people in my chat. Could you imagine if I phrase this? There are people in my chat that actually credit me more with the Brock Purdy selection than you. Your thoughts? I mean, it would just be
what if
epic.
you started reading? What if you started reading super chats in the press conferences?
This is from Miguel Ruiz, who donates $5. Kyle,
Flav says, "What the hell were you thinking, Kyle?"
Speaking of Flav, if Darnold doesn't get more time than Trey next game, he's for sure QB2, and they are clearly just showcasing Trey in hopes of getting someone to take him. Heck, hey, Flav, based on what I've heard from many, many, many sources, there's a lot of people that believe, was Vic Tafer, who doesn't even cover the Niners, covers the Raiders. He's like, based on what I've heard, Darnold's going to be the number 2 guy. So, there's a lot of people that feel like Darnold is the number 2 guy, period.
I've tweeted way too much about that this offseason, but it's honestly it's really interesting to me to see the amount of people from all the different, places in the media talk about Darnold being number 2. It's weird.
I know. It's like either they know more than us or they don't know anything at all.
Now, what do you guys think? Do you think Darnold's going to go number 2 or going to start next preseason game? You think that's kind of a switch off that they'll do?
Well, it's funny. I heard Greg and Tim say Tim Ryan say in the broadcast that they felt like Brock Purdy was going to play in the preseason, but it would be for a couple of series in the Chargers preseason game number 3, which is interesting because a lot of times preseason game number 3 is like, just totally all backups. But it sounds like they're going to play Brock for a couple series in preseason game number 3. So if that's the case, my guess is, Sam Darnold probably starts preseason game number 2, and maybe Trey Lance gets the entire second half. Or, as Flav was saying, maybe they start Trey and try to kind of put out the kind of feeling that he's QB2 so that if they are going to trade him, the perception is that he's in front of Darnold as opposed to behind. What do you think?
I like that theory, just trying to boost Trey's value. That being said, like when the unofficial depth chart came out, one of the first things I looked at was, all right, well, who's the backup? And they put Trey Lance or Sam Darnold.
Right.
So that would kind of lead me to think that, okay, Trey played ahead of Darnold in the first game. In the second game, they would flip that on top of things like we talked about. We thought Darnold played better than than Trey today. So I think preseason game 2, it's probably going to flip.
GTC Real says depth on both sides of the lines is very concerning. Yeah, I guess if you said to me, give me your primary takeaway from this game, it would probably be that. It would be that the defensive line depth that I'm worried about is not there, and thus I needed to be worried, and I was right to worry. We got a great video out that Kevin and my son Christopher worked on talking about the free agent options that are available to the 49ers at this juncture. And when this stream is over, I would encourage all of you guys to go to my YouTube channel and look for that. Kev, do you remember the title? Can you give us the title of that so people wanted to?
Yeah, it's called like "This is the 49ers' biggest issue."
Which I think the Niners' biggest issue, Baller, is the lack of defensive end depth. And I think they ought to go for a Jadeveon Clowney or a Melvin Ingram. I mean,
Thank you.
You know, they need those guys bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then the offensive line depth, I'm not as concerned about, but there's no doubt they need a tackle depth. You know, they need some third tackle, and I don't think they have that player here.
Yeah. The difference is that those offensive linemen, most of them will only get a few snaps. Those defensive linemen will be playing 100%.
Right.
So,
I mean, just give you an idea, Ebukam, Amenahue, and Jordan Willis last year in the 49ers' 3 playoff games averaged 91 snaps per game. That's what they did in the playoffs. They played a total of 1,331 snaps combined in the regular season, but they averaged 91 in the playoffs. So, you know, I mean, that's a concern. I'm very concerned about the Niners' depth on the defensive line. Double B Studio says Brock Purdy needs to tell Kyle to shut up in the helmet mic. All right, look at that.
The only thing is that it's a one-way mic.
Right.
So Brock Purdy, he can only hear what Kyle Shanahan's saying. Even if he does want to, Shanahan's not going to hear him.
Be like, Jimmy, your plays suck. We had that controversy. Yeah. RJ Image makes a donation. He says, in your opinion, are 56 starts enough to show who you are as a player? Talking about Sam Darnold. How many starts does Trey need to establish what kind of player he is? Well, that's a great question. That is a great question because I see where you're going, RJ. You're basically saying, hey, look, isn't Sam Darnold? Yeah, but yes and no. I mean, Sam Darnold has 55 career starts to his name. He's in his 5th year. He was a product of the 2018 draft. But Sam Darnold is 25 years old. There's like 10 Hall of Fame quarterbacks who didn't do jack at this point in their career. And they're Hall of Famers. So I just think we all need to kind of be very patient, more patient. And this is the way the NFL cap works now, where it's like you draft a guy and you play him, and then you got him on the rookie deal and he's got to play. It's like this idea of you draft a guy, develop him, and he plays in a few years. That's like a foreign concept right now. But that's what Steve Young was 31 before he was good. Joe Montana was 3-6 in his first 9 starts. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions as a rookie. These guys are all Hall of Famers. Warren Moon played it in Canada and still wasn't good in the NFL until he was 33. Aaron Rodgers sat for 4 years on the bench. He went 6-10 his first year as a starter. These are the best. This is like the creme de la creme of quarterbacks. So I think we all just need to, with all these quarterbacks, I mean, patience, I think is probably required more than any of us seem to have. Bass_Spokane Niner fan says, do you think Kyle should have called more runs and screens to get Trey going? Instead, they came out like it was the 4th quarter and down by 20. What do you think, Kev? Did you want to see more screens? Screens are not necessarily the easiest. I mean, you could make an argument.
Those are a timing thing. Yeah.
And those have been hit where he's really struggled. I think if the Niners had come out with a bunch of really soft, screen passes, that the people that are blaming Kyle would be blaming Kyle anyway. They'd be like, yeah, he doesn't throw the screen pass well. He doesn't throw the soft. So wait a second. The quarterback that doesn't throw the
game, bro.
Yeah, it's seriously. It is.
It's a lose-lose game. If he was only throwing under routes, it'd been like Kyle Shanahan is scheming this up, so he only throws the passes that he's not very good at throwing. Like, it's a lose-lose. I think that once he started throwing the ball deep down the field, he started connecting, and that started reminding me of older Trey Lance when he was successful in those. But I don't think it was a scheme thing. I think that he plays quarterback. He's gonna have to throw the ball. It's not Kyle's fault.
I thought it was a little bit of a pass-heavy game plan, but not to the fault of like they were still mixing in the run. Like it wasn't one-sided. So yeah, I get where Bass Spokane Niners coming from, but I didn't see the play calling really as an issue.
I disagree. Here's why. Not with you, but with him, basically with Bass, and with the idea of the genesis, or like the what's behind this question is Kyle is trying to put Trey in a bad situation. Okay? Here's why it's totally backwards thinking and wrong, and let me tell you how Kyle is probably actually thinking. Kyle just watched his offensive and defensive lines practice for 2 days against the Raiders, and I think that what they saw probably in Vegas is what they saw today, is that the Niners' backup offensive and defensive line, is challenged greatly by the Raiders. And I think if you come out running on first and second down, then if you don't think you're going to have success running it, and you haven't had success running it maybe in practice, aren't you then setting Trey up for third and long situations where and when everybody knows he's got to pass? If you come out and start throwing the ball on first down, second down, you're kind of giving him a wide open slate, and there's no pressure. You're taking the defense by, technically you're trying to catch them by, in a surprise moment. They're thinking you may run on first down. No, you're going to pass on first down. I think in a lot of ways people are spinning this like, Kyle was trying to make things hard on Trey. I think it's the opposite. I think Kyle knows that their Niners run game was not going to have big gainers on first and second down, and he didn't want Trey to get into third and long situations he wanted to pass on first down to try to take a little pressure off of the young quarterback. That would be my read on it.
One thing I'll add to that is that what did he do most today? Today he was under center, he got the ball, he faked it to the running back, play action pass, and he threw it over the middle. That was the play. Like, those were the type of plays I would say he was running the most. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
That's what I saw the most. What did he do in college? He did exactly that. That's what he should be most comfortable doing. That he did. He played under center and he ran play action pass, and that's why they drafted him. Because
is there more pressure to throw on 3rd and 10, or is there more pressure to throw on 1st and 10? There's way more pressure on 3rd and 10 than there is on 1st and 10. So to me, I think he was trying to get Trey in a rhythm by throwing it early in the down. I look at it the exact opposite. Now, remember when you guys, Kev's too young for this, or now actually he's of age now, but Baller and I can remember Lucky Logger, where you got those caps and then you had to decipher what the cap actually said. Michael Monahan gives us a super chat like that. He says, is that less than Krueger?
No, he's pointing at the picture. He's pointing at the picture and saying, Krueger in 15 years, that's you.
He's saying you're going to look like this guy in the picture here.
Damn it.
15 years.
I think.
Yeah, that's tough, Dad.
Damn. Why do you gotta treat the host that way, Mike? I mean, come on, Mike. I thought we were buds. I thought we were friends. I thought, who's your friend? Who's your buddy? Who's your pal? I mean, come on. Robbie439 says Trey's plays today was a D. His personality is A+, though.
Yeah, nice.
There you go. And that's, he's making fun of everybody who's talking up Trey's personality. J.D. Davidson, or J. Davidson, 124, says, what's your takeaway of Moody practicing kicks during the half after missing at the end of the first half?
That's what
I
he
didn't
does.
even know that. Desperate? I think that's actually what kickers kind of do anyway.
Yeah, that's what Gold always does.
Well, remember Robbie Gold's kicking kicking through cheerleaders.
But that was pregame. He's talking about halftime.
No, I think Gold did that during halftime too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All I'd say, Jay Davidson, is it didn't work. Darnay Harvey, all 22 will reveal both flat passes were covered. One was robber coverage. The other, Dwelly, was bracketed. Both resulted in sacks. Yeah, but Dwelly, there was no defender between Trey and Dwelly. He had a clear pass. You're right. He was being bracketed. But so what? If that ball comes out, it's a 7-yard pass. An NFL quarterback can stick it in there in bracket coverage to his tight end. It happens all the time. I mean, it's not a reason to take a sack, that's for sure. That ball has to come out. When you drop 3 steps and there's not a defender between you and the offensive player, the ball's got to come out. Absolutely has to come out. But I will watch the All-22 because I've got, Kev, what do I have?
NFL Plus.
NFL Plus. All right. Is that going to be tonight? Is that coming out tonight, or do I have to?
I bet you it comes out. Usually it takes a day or two, but I noticed on like today there was only a couple games, so I think they're going to pump it out quicker. I bet you it's out.
I think the TV copy is like immediate. I think you get the TV copy pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
Penith says Trey's a 2 out of 10, but if he had bigger jugs, he'd be an 8. So that's Penith.
Extremely sus. Okay.
That's a very suspect donation. I'm going to report that to YouTube. Mark Hope says, Larry, as an NFL personnel guy, help me. How do you evaluate a defense in the preseason? I understand one-on-ones, but what about how the unit performs? Does it matter? Well, it absolutely everything. First of all, it all matters. It all matters. As far as you don't put on any kind of, you don't overreact to your second and third teamers. This is what you do. You go back, you watch the all 22, and you have your coaching points on every play. And you talk it through with your guys, and you use it as an evaluation period. And you make them watch it, and you're super critical, and you call out everything. But if you got guys lollygagging and lazy and not hustling on the back end, then you start throwing furniture. Then you start cussing guys out. Then you start getting personal and ripping guys. But if you're seeing the effort and the energy, then it's about mistake correction, and let's get on the same page. And then there's also, hey, guys, why did we break down here? Is this a breakdown up front? Is this a breakdown on the back end? And then you got to decide, are the guys doing what we want them to do, and they're physically not capable, and we just have to go talk to our general manager about bringing some better guys in here? Or do we have requisite ability, and we're not getting it done because we're not playing hard enough, or we're not playing smart enough? I mean, it's like a doctor. You're asking me, when you're sick, what do you do? Well, you have to decipher. How sick are you? Well, what are the remedies? There's any number of things. But if there's a lack of hustle, you start breaking stuff. You start throwing stuff. You start swearing at guys. I mean, that's the way it is. And I've seen it. But if the hustle's there and the energy's there and the effort's there, then it's probably more about coaching points. And then also you got to acknowledge that there was no Armstead, there was no Bosa, there was no Hargrave, there was no Drake, there was no Warner, there was no Greenlaw, there was no Afonga, there was no Tayshaun Gibson, there was no Mooney Ward, there was no Demo Lenore. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you can't crush your backups too much, but you got to coach them up. And I guarantee you, when these guys hit the field on Tuesday, especially after getting drubbed, there will be a seriousness and an intensity to Tuesday's practice that we probably haven't seen in a few practices, because they're going to get their butts chewed because there were so many mistakes in this game. That's how I see it. But that was a good question, Mark. That's
I know it's a preseason game, but they haven't had their ass handed to them this since the Chiefs game.
Yeah,
not counting the Eagles game.
That's a good point. It's been a long time since the Niners have really looked bad on defense. Sasha Brady says Trey Lance gets a D- grade. Unsurprising for a quarterback who's hardly played, but unless he improves fast, can't see Kyle Shanahan staying patient. Sam Darnold played like a 56 start quarterback. Darnold looked calm. Allen looked calm. Trey looked frazzled, frenetic, unsure, held the ball too long, threw 2 picks that just got dropped. I mean, that's the thing. We're going to talk about picks. We got to talk about picks. Those were 2 picks. Zachary Kelway. Trey stock goes down with every snap he takes. Today, maybe. Today. That's the thing. If you watch this today, you're going to sit. That's the thing. You're thinking about trade potential, and people don't even like to even entertain that concept, but that's part of it. Is somebody going to want to invest $9 million of their cap on a player that doesn't look ready to play in his 3rd year? That's the problem. Aiden O'Connell was at Purdue last year. He looked pretty good today, didn't he? Trey Lance has been in this offense for 3 years. He didn't look as sure of himself as Aiden O'Connell. There's no other way to say it, really. MF and Philpot says trade. Robbie Gold, free agent for Lance. Laughing my ass off. It's just one game. All right, there you go. He's got all the perspective in the world. Niner Grandpa, Brandon Allen looks better than all the quarterbacks. He looked calmer.
I thought Darnold played better than him.
Yeah, I thought Darnold looked a little better than to me, Darnold looked the best of the quarterbacks. But then Brandon Allen would be second. Niner Grandpa says, watch Niner Grandpa. Go Niners. So he's just saying he's keeping it positive. I like that. RJ Image, just to say I completely agree with you regarding development, especially the quarterback. It takes time. Yeah, I mean, it takes time. And look it up. Go look up. Go type in to Google when this stream's over, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and then just go down the list and look what they did in their first 3 years. And for every, Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, there's 7 guys who didn't do it until they were 28. Len Dawson, Sonny Jurgensen, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, Aaron Rodgers, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning. I mean, there's a lot of them. A lot of them. They're Hall of Famers, and they didn't do it early on. It takes time. We got to have more patience than we have. Double B Studio says Kyle admitted that it wasn't the game plan. Kyle admitted that it wasn't the game plan, LOL.
He's talking about having Trey throw so much.
I got you. That the game plan initially wasn't to have Trey throw so much. But here's the thing. If you throw on first, think about it this way. You're in the game. If you throw on first down and you're incomplete, guess what you're going to do a lot? Throw. Because you're going to be throwing on second and third down most likely if you get no yards on first down. So as soon as you opt to throw on first down to maybe take a little heat off your young quarterback so he's not throwing in obvious throw situations, if he doesn't complete the passes on first down, now you're in a throw-heavy plan. That's how it works. First down, second down, second down relates to first down, third down relates to second down. If you throw for first down on first down, a first down throw, maybe you can run it on the next first down. But if you're incomplete and you throw on first down, guess what you're probably going to do? Keep throwing. Otherwise, you're going to punt. We got this one from Ty Bud. He says, Larry, when the All-22 comes out, can you do a play-by-play video of it with your commentary of what you are seeing? Kev, can we do that?
100%.
Let's do it. We'll absolutely do that. Mike Monahan says, that's the doc from Smokey and the Bandit. Damn you, Mike Monahan. Niner Grandpa. Krug, do you have to stay 1,000 feet from a park? Do we understand that one at all? Is he saying I'm out of shape? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
John Rager says, I'm an ISU fan graduate. I kind of wish Brock Purdy would get traded because of all the criticism and shade thrown his way in the last few weeks. We were just happy he got drafted. God, that's a sad. Think about that. That's a sad statement. Here's a guy that is thrilled that his Iowa State brother is a Niner, but because Purdy's in the middle of this S-storm, because there's so many people who are like, I don't believe in him, that he would rather Brock be on a different team. So Brock could have like a fresh start.
Oh, so this guy's just a Brock Purdy fan.
Yeah, he said he's an Iowa State graduate.
There's no doubt about it. The fan base is divided. And I don't think there needs to be this amount of division.
It's
Twitter
unfortunate.
It's toxic. Like, come on, we're rooting for the same team here.
Yeah,
right.
No, I know. Sometimes you forget that. It feels like.
Seriously, it's disappointing. Niner Grandpa, only points we scored was a dropped interception. It's true. Look at that. We got to the bottom of the super chats. 73 super chats. We're an hour and 48 minutes in. All right, guys, incredible show so far. What do you want to see in the next game? Obviously they'll be back at practice on Tuesday. Once again, if you're just tuning in, do we ever get this one? How good does Brock Purdy do in this game with the same players?
Yeah, that was a while ago, I thought.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think Brock Purdy probably would have gotten the ball out faster. Yeah, I'm going way up the chat here. Here, let's go to the new comments. We'll go to the very bottom of the chat. If you missed the beginning of the stream, I basically came out and said I loved what I saw from Jalen Graham, Deshaun Jameson, Quantrez Knight, Cleveland Farrell, Jair Brown, Ambry Thomas, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, Marlon Davidson. There were a lot of really good moments from from the 49ers defense. The Niners offense, the only good things that I saw from the Niner offense were Sam Darnold, Ronnie Bell, and Ross Dwelly catching the interception. Other than that, I thought the offense, defensively, I thought there were a number of guys that were impressive. Offensively, like Zakel, Cameron Latou, Tay Martin, most of the Niner offensive line didn't look that great.
What didn't you like about Tay Martin? Because I thought he was
Tay Martin
open.
He had two penalties where he's got to communicate with the tight end on the offensive line.
Well, yeah, that could have been Latu's fault, though. We don't know.
Right, that's true. Also, Tay didn't get his feet down, and he caught the ball like 5 feet from the sidelines, and he still couldn't get his foot down. That was kind of disappointing. No. I mean, I'm a Tay Martin fan. I'm probably Tay's biggest fan, to be honest. But I would say overall, Latou, the Niner O-line, kind of disappointed. I was hoping to see more from Trey. Obviously, the 2 missed field goals from Moody, the Oliver blown coverage. The Niner backs did not have any ability to really run in this game. Those were the things that kind of stood out to me. So,
yeah, I thought the running backs had some moments, with nothing crazy, 8-yard run, 9-yard run. When we're talking TDP and Jordan Mason, but yeah, you spoke to it. Cleveland Farrell, definitely one of the standouts with his inside move for the sack.
Todd Anderson says this was like watching the championship game again, but without the O-line and D-line. I think most fans were hoping to get that bad taste out of their mouth. Yeah, I mean, it's a preseason game, so it's obviously you're starting fresh. But, I mean, there were enough guys on defense that flashed good things. Like give you an example. I mean, if Ambry Thomas is the real deal, that gives them corner depth. If Quantrez Knight is the real deal, they have, more defensive backfield depth. Jair Brown, Jameson, Quantrez, those guys all are new players in the secondary for the most part. I mean, Ambry's not new, but the other guys are new. So I like that. I love the linebackers and the depth they have there. I mean, like when I'm watching practice, the linebacker depth, I'm watching these guys and I'm like, these guys are starters. Jalen Graham's a starter. D. Winters is a starter. Marcelino McCrary-Ball's a starter. So it's not a surprise that when we get into a preseason game, these quote-unquote backup linebackers play like starters. They play like starters because they are future starters, where the Niners' backups up front are not future NFL starters. And that's a concern. I'm a little concerned about the depth of both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that's my big concern. Also, on offense, I don't want to get too over, too negative or fatalistic, because look at the talent that the Niners have on offense that did not suit up. The Niners have about 10 Pro Bowl players that didn't suit up on offense. They got, almost every guy who didn't suit up on offense is a flat out baller. So you know what I'm saying? It's like hard to really.
Disappointed we didn't get to see Danny Gray today. I mean,
yeah, what was that about?
Overall soreness. Like Danny Gray's a guy who I know. Krug, me and you loved him coming out of SMU.
Oh, I still love him.
He's explosive. But, he needs some refinement. It sounds like he's been doing pretty good in training camp. You're there watching him, but it sounds
Yeah, he
like
looks
the
good.
reports have been pretty positive. I was disappointed he couldn't get out there because this is a guy who I really like. And, I'm hoping he gets out there for a preseason game number 2. And then the linebackers, Krug, you were touching on, teams around the NFL are monitoring the 49ers linebacker situation. Not all these players can make the team, and they're really good in terms of the depth. So like a couple years ago, they traded Jonas Griffith for a late round pick to the Broncos. I could see something similar going on here because the linebacker core is deep, and not all these guys can make the team.
Yeah. Double B Studios' young O-line looked like this due to Kyle's playbook. I just think the young O-line is challenged. I mean, I don't know that, that they don't have the Niners have not invested a lot of draft capital. Let's be honest here. They haven't invested a lot of draft capital in the offensive line. They just have not. And they could use an infusion of talent there. I would love to see them make the kind of move they made for Laken Tomlinson, where they traded a 5th-round pick and they got a former 1st-round pick that they had a high grade on. And, that kind of – they could use another really nice player on their offensive line, whether it be a guard or a tackle. I mean, they could definitely use some offensive line help.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to hit the sponsors real quick? And not hit the sponsors, but mention the sponsors. I want to share my screen, though, and get your guys' opinion on something.
Okay. Well, let me thank the sponsors. MarinAutoglass.com. Check them out. If you're driving down the road and a pebble hits your windshield, give them a call, 415-883-3030, or just go to MarinAutoglass.com. Also, the only Italian sausage that I will eat is New York Style Sausage Company. We'll be there tomorrow. Looking forward to an afternoon down at New York Style Sausage Company tomorrow on the 49er off day. And, of course, thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Great spot. The brisket is amazing. Say hi to Damon. Say hi to Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. Kev, what are you going to share here?
Okay, so I know Baller already did his up and down, or his stock up, stock down, but I thought it'd be interesting if we look at this tweet. I thought this tweet was pretty interesting. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. But looking at these guys, this person, 49ers Kyle, put out, he kind of puts his stock up, stock down, and I just want to see if you guys want to go through it and see if you guys agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
go shoot them to us. I mean, it looks
yeah,
like
Trey Lance. Down. Yeah, Trey Lance stock down. I personally would have to. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he played great. I think
it's not down dramatically, but it's down, right? It's down a little bit.
I'm saying stock even. I don't.
Okay, that's fair. But I mean, to me, he looked a little nervous. He looked a little nervous.
I don't know who was open on those plays though, Larry. Like I said, I rewound it in a couple times on the plays where I thought he did hesitate. I didn't see anyone obviously open. Again, the all 22. We'll watch it and get back, but I could see down. But personally, I got my Lance shirt on. I'm going neutral.
Okay. Sam Darnold, stock up. I would say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He impressed me today, honestly. I was expecting him to play worse. Not saying that he impressed me because he was so amazing, but I was expecting him to be significantly worse than I imagined just because of all the reports I read and heard this offseason. It seemed like he was accurate. I mean, that ball he threw to Ronnie Bell I thought was beautiful. I wrote down in my notes, beautiful pass, because it was just right on the money. And he had a couple other great throws. I think he only had 2 throws that I thought were inaccurate, even though he was 5 of 8. So I thought it's stock up for sure.
Ty Davis Price, it says stock up. I would say stock even. Now, granted, I'm looking at him in practice, and I wanted to see the Ty Davis Price that I've seen all summer in practice. If you're just judging it off of what you last saw from Ty Davis Price, if you're a 49er fan that hasn't been to practice, you would probably say stock up. Oh, yeah, he looked better than last year. Yeah, he does look better than last year. But he didn't look as good in this game as he's looked in practice. So I would say stock flat, but if it's based on last year, yeah, stock's up.
I'm okay with stock up a little bit. I thought they had a couple of nice runs. Again, the offensive line, they didn't do any favors. I didn't think they run blocked well today. But I get stock up on Price.
I'd give him stock even. I thought he was going to be more explosive. Maybe that was the offensive line. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but he didn't have any plays today where I was like, wow, look at that guy go. But he was decent.
Ronnie Bell, stock up. Yeah, I mean, he did tip a ball that became a pick, right?
Yeah, it
was a nice route, though. It was a nice route.
Yeah, but it hit him in the hands.
Hit him in the hands.
It hit him in the hands and became an interception. Yeah. So that's a negative. But I do like the fact that Ronnie Bell, I mean, this guy was a 7th-round wide receiver.
Although the return game, I wanted a little more juce in the return game.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
D. Jameson's on the list here, but the return game I thought was kind of from Bell.
Yeah. Cameron Latu. Oh, go ahead, Kev.
I was going to say there was nothing in the return game that I was like, oh, this guy's a great returner. Maybe he's a better punt returner, but he didn't really get that many yards on the kickoffs. But he was open a lot today, so that definitely means something. I didn't see him run all the routes, but he was getting open, getting the ball, so that means something.
Who's next on the list there?
It's Latu.
Latu's stock has fallen through the floorboards. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this guy, he had a terrible week of practice where he dropped multiple balls. And then he gets into the game inside his own 20-yard line, and he almost drops a pass to him and then fumbles it on the way to the ground. I mean, he looks like he's just either his head's in a different place or he's got just terrible hands. We just don't realize it. I don't know what to say. He's got good ability. He's got good prototypical size and speed and athleticism, but you know what? It's a tight end position. If he were a 4-2 burner, if it was Danny Gray and he just didn't quite have great hands, you'd be like, all right, well, the guy's a vertical threat. He's going to run off the coverage and this and that. For a tight end, you have to have sticky hands. You have to catch the ball. So his stock is way down.
Yeah.
Braden Willis. What where would you? I mean, was there? I mean, is there any? I mean, what do you guys think about Latu?
Yeah, Latu's definitely stocked down. The dropsies, and he almost dropped the ball that Sam hit him, and then we know he ended up getting it punched out. So Latu's definitely stocked down. But Willis, I mean, I'm not going to argue against stock up because I am a Braden Willis guy. I love the tape I watched coming out of Oklahoma. He's tough after the catch. And then in the run game, I know he's not the biggest guy, but I thought he was physical AF in the run game. So Braden Willis, while today, he caught one ball. Nothing really jumped out to me that would really point the arrow up. But I'm not going to argue against it because I am a Braden Willis guy.
He also made a tackle on special teams.
That's big. And Latu had a holding call on one of Jameson's nice returns. Mm-hmm. Latu not only dropping balls, but he's holding on the return.
Yeah. Latu it seems like whenever his name gets mentioned, it's not a good thing. Like the drop, the fumble, or he didn't drop one today, but he fumbled it, and the penalty. Braden Willis, I only have him down for one catch that I saw, but I didn't see him in the run game, but I'll believe you because I know he is a good run blocker.
Jason Poe, stock down. I mean, the Niners' offensive line gave up sacks. They gave up pressure in the face of the quarterback in the interior. They didn't open run lanes for their backs. I don't think you can have anybody on that offensive line with a stock up today, and that includes Poe.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
Cleveland Farrell was a definitely stock up. Definitely stock up for Cleveland Farrell.
Big time.
Definitely. In fact, to me, I was worried about Cleveland Farrell, guys, because I've watched every practice, and I watched some of the D-line drills. I don't see him necessarily winning in the one-on-ones. He doesn't seem like he's real dynamic off the edge. But you know what? That guy's a ball player, and he knows how to play. And that one thing about Farrell is he does know how to play. So if you're going to give up the inside move to him, I mean, the thing about it is, I think that the game plan as an offensive tackle is real simple. Be real strong inside and make him run the loop. Make him beat you to the edge and flatten to the quarterback because he doesn't have great speed. But if he's going to set you up like he set up the Raider offensive lineman today, and he's going to knife back inside, you're 10 times stupid if you let him do it because he cannot get to the quarterback with any consistency if you make him go wide. So if you lunge wide and give him a counter back inside, it's the only way to get beat. And today the Raider lineman got beat that way. Now, he's a little bit of a technician. He's very strong with his hands. I like what he does against the run. But today we saw, him get to the quarterback. Saw Cleveland Farrell stock up today.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. Because he went outside and then swam inside, and then he got right to the quarterback, and he definitely is faster inside than he is going around the edge. So it's a good point.
Jalen Graham. Jalen Graham's the biggest stock up as far as I'm concerned. Jalen Graham was flying all over the field. He's wearing the green dot. He looks explosive. I love this kid 2 years ago at Purdue. I thought he was coming out in the draft 2 years ago. Then he went back for his senior year, and then somehow he fell to the 7th round. Oh, my God, Jalen Graham is fast and physical, and, oh, man, to me, Jalen Graham's a starter. He is a starter. That was a phenomenal pick. And give Scott McCloughan, told Barrows and Lombardi in the Athletic when he was reviewing the draft, he said he really loved Jalen Graham. Now, he also said he loved Cameron Latou. But he did say that his favorite player in the draft was Jalen Graham. A couple years ago, they interviewed Scott, and he said his favorite guy was Talanoa Hufanga. So you know what? A guy like McCloughan, if I was the Niners, I think I might put him on salary. It's nice that they have Frank Gore in the front office, but I think I might pay McCloughan, $500K and just say, hey, why don't you consult for us? Jed loves them, and he's got a connection to the Niners, and he built their team that went to the Super Bowl with Harbaugh. If I were the Niners, I would get Scott McCloughan on a retainer because he's got a great eye for talent. He absolutely does, and he loved Graham, and Graham was awesome today.
Yeah, Jalen Graham was flying around. He was phenomenal in the run game. I'm going to say it again, though. I want him to get a little better in pass pro. I thought the linebackers really struggled in pass coverage because they were getting sucked up by the play action. So Graham, he was flying around making plays. And it just makes me appreciate Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. I mean, Fred Warner, he is the best coverage linebacker in the NFL. Like when he drops into coverage, and in that Cowboys playoff game, he's running seam routes stride for stride with CeeDee Lamb. So, that's a rare ability. So watching this game and how the Raiders kind of exploited the middle of the field off of play action kind of makes me appreciate those two starters that the Niners have. But yeah, Graham, stock up. But hey, in pass coverage, locate those players running the over routes, because today I thought it was a little too easy with the pitch and catch.
Yeah,
I like the stock up, stock down seg, Kev. What do you think on Graham?
One thing about Graham, I didn't really know much about him when he got drafted. Saw his highlights, looked pretty good. Johnny Holland spoke pretty highly of him. I would suggest everyone to read Matt Barrows' profile on him on The Athletic. He did a really good profile on him, interviewed his high school coach and his college coach. Pretty interesting article. He compared him to like a Fred Warner type almost, because he thinks that he can have that Mike linebacker position on lock and just be good in pass pro. I know, Baller, you said he didn't do that well today. I don't remember specifically what he did today, but he supposedly is pretty good at it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
The big winner today, Purdue football. Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders, Jalen Graham for the Niners. How about Jair Brown, guys? Stock up, huh? Stock up for Jair.
Flying around today. He didn't make any one specific play that I was like, wow, but he did make some plays on special teams, making some tackles, and in the back, or not in the backfield, but in the secondary.
Yeah, he was in the right spot. If the running back got an angle, Jair Brown was there to meet him. So I don't think he played a ton, but yeah, I saw him out there making an impact early in the game.
Deshaun Jameson. I got to go stock up. Not only has this guy been an outstanding corner, I've been saying it all camp. I said, the Niner fans who have been talking up this guy, the Niner players that have been talking up this guy, I go, they haven't really seen what he's really, really good at. He's a dynamic return guy. And, I asked Brian Schneider about it, and I said, hey, give me your thoughts on Jameson and Bell as a returner. And he kind of went off on Bell saying, oh, Bell's very sure-handed and this and that. But Jameson showed the patience of a 10-year veteran on the returns today. He had one that was, sometimes patience is a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to just get up the field, man, make the first guy miss and go from there. But patience can be a good thing if you do it at the right time and demonstrate it at the right time. I think Jameson showed that he is not just a corner. He is a returner of substance, of significance. I thought the arrow was way up on Deshaun.
Yeah, the return skill was dynamic. Unfortunately, a couple of them got called back due to holding calls. But, yeah, Jameson, I thought he was exceptional. He was decisive in the return game. Ronnie Bell was – he was decent. He got the job done. He didn't turn it over in the return game. But Jameson made you say, whoa, this guy's got some talent back there.
Yeah, and it makes a difference, too. I mean, the 49ers didn't get to really, take advantage from it because they had penalties on everyone. But, he ran it to the 40-yard line on his first return just easily. And he has great timing. He hits the hole. He's fast. I mean, just also seeing the Niners go from Ronnie Bell to Jameson, it gave you a really good, comparison and be like, oh, this guy's legit. This guy, the step up here is legitimate. So,
Ambry Thomas, go ahead. You guys can go first.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the fourth down tackle for loss. It was 4th and 1, and Ambry just flew in off the left side, threw the running back to the ground, tackle for loss, Niners ball. I was really impressed by that because the one thing we know about the 49ers defense, and the one thing I like to talk about a lot on my channel, shout out Bay Area Baller 18, but is the 49ers defensive backs all tackle. Like, it is a prerequisite. You got to be able to tackle if you're going to play in the secondary. I mean, Mooney tackles, Diamador Lenore, Jimmy Ward was in the slot. He tackles. So I was glad to see Ambry Thomas fly in for the tackle for loss on 4th down. Then I know he had a nice pass breakup with some sticky coverage. So, yeah, I haven't been the biggest Ambry Thomas guy. But, I mean, after today's game, I got to give the man his flowers because he played great today.
Yeah. I would like to see him get challenged a little bit more in the pass game. I don't remember that many. I know he had a few good pass protections, but I think that was kind of his weakness, right? It was more the pass game prior.
Yeah,
right?
It was always like, he was right there, but wide receivers would just catch the ball on him. He wouldn't get his head flipped around. So that's something I'm watching when it comes to Ambry Thomas.
I mean, to me, I just love the depth at the corner. I mean, it's just amazing when you really think about where the Niners have been. I mean, it's tough to get corner depth. And look at the Niners right now. You got Mooney Ward. You got Demo Lenore, Isaiah Oliver, Samuel Womack, Darrell Luter's on the PUP, but the guy's a player. Just trust me when I say so. Deshaun Jameson, who I guaranteed a month ago was going to make the roster. Ambry Thomas, 7. Quantrez Knight, 8. I thought Taylor Hawkins played well in the secondary today. The Niners, and was a corner for years at San Diego State. He's probably a safety now. But, the Niners have quality depth at the corner. And, man, you can never have enough good corners. The old coach used to say the key to pass coverage is pass coverage. In other words, there is no key to pass coverage. You got to have dudes. And they have guys. Look what a couple years ago when they ran out of corners and they signed Brian Allen on a Wednesday to play against the Niners and play for the Niners against the Dolphins on Sunday. What happened? Fitzpatrick literally came out of the huddle pointing wherever Brian Allen was. Oh, Brian Allen's over there, guys. And then they would just throw right at him. Oh, Brian Allen's over there, guys. Oh, we're going to throw over there. when you have deficiencies at corner, it's like, uh-oh, you're screwed. And for the Niners to have a third-round pick, talented, athletic, young corner in Ambry Thomas, who it looks like he's going to be much better this year, combine that with Jameson and the young guys they have back there, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of the brightest spots of the day was Ambry Thomas. The rest of the defense, what would you say? I thought Marcelino McCrary Ball had a really good game. I thought Marlon Davidson had a really good game. The defense after that, not so much. What did you guys think of the defense?
The defensive line was pretty mid, I'd say. There wasn't a ton of plays made. Farrell, I mean, that's on the list. I mean, I think he's talking about everyone else. I mean, I personally thought Womack had a decent day. And I'm trying to think who else we're missing. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the defense wasn't good, in my opinion. It was a vanilla performance. The Raiders dominated the trenches, so that tells you the D-line. You know, Farrell was kind of the lone bright spot. I know Krug liked Davidson's performance. You know, I know Kinlaw was out of position a couple times, but I did see him kind of pushing the pocket and getting some penetration with. You know, my expectations for Kinlaw, fellas, are really low. Like, that way, anything he does give us is gravy. So I was happy to see him be able to kind of push the pocket and kind of make the quarterback uncomfortable at least a couple times. That being said, he was out of position a couple times, and the Raiders were kind of dominating the trenches and running it right up the gut to start the game.
Jake Moody.
I mean, you have to
stock down. Yeah. Missed 2 field goals, 40 and 58.
Yeah.
There's no
it's not worth panicking about, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, that's just as simple as that. I like that. We'll do that. We'll do that every week. Stock up, stock down. All right, let's finish with this. The most pleasant surprise of today's game. If I say to you, you know what? There was things that you saw that you liked. There was things that you saw that you didn't like. Give me the most pleasant surprise of the day for you. And I've got one as well.
I think I got mine. Baller, you want to go first? Or
yeah, I'll go first. I'm going Sammy D. All right. I mean, what I've heard throughout training camp is that he's been checking down. You know, he's refusing to throw the ball down the field, and then he comes out his first drive and throws. I don't know if it felt like it was about a 40-yard strike to Ronnie Bell right in the breadbasket, and I'm saying he wasn't throwing the ball downfield in training camp. Okay, so yeah. So Sammy D, you know, he made some nice throws, and coming into it, you know, the first thing they said on the broadcast was how Darnold has 78 turnovers in his 55 starts. So it was what the first thing I heard on the broadcast. But hey, Sam came out there, and like we've all said, he played pretty good today.
Yeah. You kind of took mine there too. I was going to say the same thing. I'll change it up, but I'll say first, Darnold definitely surprised me, especially coming after Lance, who I thought struggled. Then seeing Darnold go into the game, kind of command the offense, throw a dime to Ronnie Bell, and then just kind of dice it up a little bit. I know he only had 8 attempts, and he didn't score, but I thought he was surprising to me. If I'm not going to go Darnold, I'd have to go Jameson. So I might be taking yours, Dad, but I'm going to have to go Jameson because especially with I'm blanking on his name, the returner that just broke his wrist.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray.
McLeod.
Yeah, we're Ray McLeod. Him getting injured, now having Jameson back there. I mean, that was an open position that no one was really talking about. Yeah, doors open, and Jameson looks great. So that's a huge thing for the 49ers.
To me, I was really disappointed in Isaiah Oliver, but my pleasant surprise, I'm going to go with Quantrez Knight. I mean, I love Quantrez Knight at UCLA. I watched tons of Bruin football. This guy was physical in college as a hitter. He always had good instincts. He always anticipated things correctly. He reads and reacts. He plays with discipline. He's dangerous. player in the secondary. He's a cover guy. He can anticipate routes. He recognizes routes. He knows what's coming. He's got good ball skills, good instincts. He's good in the box. He's a solid tackler. I mean, there's just a lot to like about Quantrez. He takes good angles in pursuit. He can deliver a huge hit. And to me, he had last year to be on the practice squad. And I think Quantrez, if Oliver can't man that nickel spot, I think Quantrez is your guy. I think Quantrez is a really, really good football player that we don't talk a lot about because he was kind of last year's deal and he was on the practice squad. But you know what? The guy is a player, and he showed it today. And when they watch that film, they're going to see it. And I think he's going to have a bigger and bigger role as time goes on. A couple last supers here, and then we'll bolt. Todd Anderson says Spencer Wagee was working hard, had a tip pass towards the end. Time will tell if he makes it. Oh, I didn't realize. Was that Wagee that got the tip pass? I didn't see that. But we saw the tip pass.
Hit off someone's helmet or something.
Might have been Wagee.
Sure.
Might have been Wagee.
I saw he was playing mostly inside, right? 99, Wagee?
Yeah, he's an interior player right now. He played defensive end at North Dakota State, but he's put on weight, and they're playing him inside. Mark Hope says, Larry, the 2023 schedule, your thoughts? Kevin, great job. As far as the schedule for the Niners, I do have it here. I mean, obviously they go Broncos next week in the preseason, then the Chargers. Then it's a tough game against the Steelers at Heinz Field, where the Steelers open. They always open fast, but I feel good about that. I think
Pickett looked pretty good in that preseason game. He was kind of dicing.
He did.
So did Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens looks good. I mean, the Steelers are tough. They got a tough defensive line. But I think the Niners are going to come out firing in week 1. Rams in week 2 on the road is going to be very, very challenging, but I think the Niners will get that one. Then they get the New York Giants on a Thursday night, primetime game. That the Giants are always tough. Arizona at home in week 4. Dallas at home in week 5. As far as the schedule goes, I think you gotta try to steal a couple games early. They play road games in Cleveland. At Minnesota is a tough place to play. They get the Bengals at home. They get the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 10. That's a good week to be playing the Jaguars because you don't want to be playing in the state of Florida in September. That game is going to be the middle of November. Middle of November, Jacksonville's beautiful. Then they get Tampa in week 11. Then they've got week 12 is at Seahawks. Is that Thanksgiving? I believe Thanksgiving in Seattle. Week 13 is the game of the year in Philly. Going to be very challenging. Then week 14 they get Seattle at home. Week 15 in Arizona should be a pretty easy win. Christmas Day they play the Ravens at home. That's going to be difficult. At the Commanders on New Year's Eve Day, and then the Rams in Week 18 at home. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, to me, that Week 1 game is really a huge game. I think the first 2 weeks of the season are going to set the tone for the 49ers. It looks really tough on paper playing the Steelers and Rams both on the road to start the year, but I think the Niners go 2-0. I think they go 2-0 at the beginning and get it rolling from there. What stands out to you guys about the schedule?
I mean, they're traveling a lot. I saw a stat where they're traveling more. I don't know. I think it's the most in the NFL or the second most. But they're traveling. It's a tough schedule. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers week 1 on the road, it's going to be tough. And then against the Rams, the Rams, man, they got no depth. Like I was looking at their depth chart, and it was like on the defensive side of the ball, there's a lot of names. I follow the NFL pretty closely, but look at that Rams defense. There's not a lot of names that I'm familiar with.
When they do have, they lost Bobby Wagner. He's back in Seattle.
Yeah.
The Rams are a young developmental team. Plus, there's a lot of rumor that the Rams may trade Aaron Donald before week 1.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
who's
talk
reporting that.
Well, I
Yeah.
saw it in a couple spots that the Eagles may try to trade for Aaron Donald, or that Aaron Donald could get
Jesus.
dealt. So, I mean, the Rams are in kind of a rebuild. It really, obviously, if they move Aaron Donald, that's gonna change things dramatically for them. We got this one from Mark Hope. He says stock prices, Larry and Kevin Krueger up big. Let's effing go. Don't forget Baller.
And Baller.
Don't forget Baller. And by the way, Bay Area Baller 18. We've got almost 1,000 people still hanging in the room here, 2 hours and 23 minutes into this thing. I want you guys all to go. Baller's going to join us after every game this year on the post game. And I'd love every single one of you to sign up for Bay Area Baller 18's channel. He does great stuff. He does stuff on the Niners, on the Warriors. He watches film. He's knowledgeable. We wouldn't have Baller sitting here on our post-game show if he wasn't damn good at what he does. And I want everybody, if you can, go to his YouTube channel, type in Bay Area Baller 18, like it says right there on the screen in bold, and just give him a follow, give him a sub, help him build his channel. Baller, how many subs you got right now?
Hey, we're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We got some work to do till they get there, but that's the goal. And yeah, tomorrow I got a great show. Mondays, I'm live every Monday with my Straight Out of the Bay crew, 4 guys, all from the Bay, talking all Niners. Shout out to Kelch, Jay in the Bay, and
What time?
Amin the Dream. That's going on at 8 o'clock or 8:15 tomorrow night. We'll be live every Monday because it's football season. It's an exciting time of the year. Sundays just got a hell of a lot better. I don't know about you guys, but I'm watching Red Zone, watching the Niners, checking all my fantasy lineups, my daily fantasy, making sure I'm hitting there. So it's an exciting time of the year. Yeah, the content's coming out. The YouTube channel's on the screen. Krug, I appreciate you for getting me on board because I learn a lot from you. And, we've talked Warriors over the last year or so. I learned a lot from all those guys. And Kev, I'm excited to meet you and talk ball with you. So, yeah, I appreciate it. The chat is insane. The channel, Krug, I've been a fan of the Krug channel, since its inception. And you guys are working hard. The content's flying out everywhere, and you guys are crushing it, and I'm glad to be here.
Oh, man, we're glad to have you. And tell Amin the Dream, he's got the hair of hair, man. I mean, that guy's got the pompadour. I mean, he makes Kev's hair look kind of thin. I mean, he's just got ridiculous woo. Amin the Dream's one of my favorites. I've popped on with him. Baller, we'll let you go, brother. Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Hey, appreciate it. Talk soon, fellas. Let's go Niners.
There you go. We'll talk to you next week. Bay Area Baller. Bay Area Baller 18, everybody. Go sign up for his channel.
Oh, can I make an announcement here?
Yeah, go ahead. We got a couple more supers to get to. Believe it or not, I didn't notice.
Yeah,
it.
I'll just do an announcement real quick. Everyone that has been curious about the audio only, because we stopped posting on Spotify and Apple Music.
Right.
It's kind of a long story. It's just really complicated. Anyways, if you want to watch the show audio only, you can watch it for free on the YouTube Music app. Download the YouTube Music app, and you can find our podcast on there. There's a link on the channel. It says audio or audio form, maybe something like that. And it will link you to our audio only stuff.
We also should tell people, do we have a picture of our crazy, our lazy, effing lazy t-shirt? There it is. Here we go. There you go. You can go to the store on YouTube and you can order that's the back of the t-shirt, right, Kev?
Yeah.
Or is it the front?
The front of the t-shirts. No, that's the back. The front of the t-shirt looks the same to all the other t-shirts.
It has a Krug Show logo, but the back of the t-shirt says you're effing lazy. And everybody who buys a Krug Show t-shirt at any point, I do an individual customized video for them, thanking them for supporting the channel. So all you got to do is go to the Krug Show and go to the store and order the shirt, and we will send you a direct video thanking you for supporting the channel, because that's how much affinity we have for our viewers. Couple more here. Fish and Chips says early reaction, depth, and official worry then. Yeah, I think on the offensive and defensive line, definitely depth is a concern. Jesse Wade, saddest part of the entire day is Mike Florio is grinning ear to ear. D. Winters stock up. I think it spoke volumes that Sam only played one quarter. You think why? Because why do you think what's his read on that? What do you think of that, Kev? You think Sam only played a quarter because he played well?
I think it spoke. No, I don't know. I'm assuming that means it's bad, but I thought he played well. I think the plan was Trey's going to get the first half, and then they're going to split the next 2 quarters. I wouldn't be surprised if next game it's flipped, and it's Sam for the first half, and then Trey for the next quarter.
Saul Goodman says Trey Lance played like a guy afraid he's going to be a bust. Mark Hope says Bay Area baller, stock up. Stock up big. Let's effing go, my bro. Bay Area baller 18, everybody. Give him a sub, give him a like, give his channel some love. Mark Hope says baller. I went to Balboa. Sorry, Mark. We already said goodbye to baller. Let's do this. I got a final thought. Kev's got a final thought we'll share with you next. But first, let's shout out our sponsors one more time. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. New York style Italian sausage and Pig in a Pickle. Best barbecue in Northern California. Here's their location in Marin.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch of our live stream. We're 2.5 hours in. Let's read a couple non-super chats. Okay. Bobby Kev says, Bobby Thunder says, I love that name, Bobby Thunder. He says, Brock threw 4 interceptions in 2 games with the first team during 11-on-11s, and there was no contact allowed playing with All-Stars. There you go.
I mean, I didn't see it, so I can't really compare it, you know?
Yeah. That's his way of saying, Brock sucks. Greg Smith says, the Krueger show, Brandon Willis and TDP and Ronnie Bell was the first down, second effort from TDP. Referees made a mistake, played good. What do you think about it, 49ers? I thought the spot on the short yardage to TDP was a bad spot. Then the Niners would have challenged that in the regular season. Lyle says 20% off code for merch if we beat the Steelers game 1. Say it, Krug. Come on. We'll talk about it. I got to meet with the executives.
Potentially.
Nick J. Pasquale with the thin gold chain on top of the fresh red tan skin with the voice of a dude who smokes with no filters. Absolute legend. Don't forget $1 Million Wink, too. There you go. You like Pasquale?
There you go.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means we grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means
There you go. A little Pasquale, a little extra Pasquale. We got this one. Awesome show, fellas. Bomber T. Trock Talks. Larry, don't give your address live on air. Glad you guys caught it. I wasn't going to say anything live. Thank you.
It's gone now.
It's gone now. It's all gone now. Let's see. We got a couple more that I want to get to. I saw a good one in here that I wanted to get to. Mark Hope's talking about Pasquale. He says, it's an expression. So epic. Okay, we got this one from Jesse Wade. Krug, I thought it was telling because Sam showed Kyle enough in that one quarter. That was my read on what you said as well. That he got in and got him out because he played well. He looked good. He didn't look like he needed more work. So we were on the same wavelength there. I thought that's what you meant. Digital Drew is asking about what happened to the Telmetrics Jam. Telmetrics is no longer a sponsor of the Krug Show. But it's not really because they didn't want to sponsor anymore. We just had a change in personnel at Telmetrics. And when is Pasquale getting on the dang stream? Maybe tomorrow. We'll be down there tomorrow. And then Fish and Chips drops this one. I see Larry's retirement looming now that Kev is on the stream. Oh, better not. Better not. And we'll finish with this one. Luke Luna says, Larry, you said Ambry didn't look good in camp along with others. He doesn't practice well. He plays better than he practices. That's why practice is practice and games are games.
I wouldn't even agree with that, though. He played better today in the game, but I don't know if he has a great track record of playing well in games. Do you know that? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, he played well 2 years ago at the end of the year. Last year, he played very poorly. They don't need him to bounce back because they've got depth, but they've challenged him. And if he doesn't play well, he's not going to make the team. So now he knows that his NFL future is dangling by a thread, and he's out to prove that he's got something. And let's hope he does it. Digital Drew says Ambry's flashed before. He's also gotten beat constantly in games. Here we go from Rocky von Wagner. He says, thank you for always being level-headed and not letting fan comments upset you. Love you, Krug. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Rocky. Okay, that's going to do it for us. But we do have almost 700 people in the stream. And I'm sure of the 700 people that are still in the stream, almost over 2.5 hours since we started, even though I'm sweating today because it's super hot, and drank a ton of water. But if you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do. If you hit like, just more people find our shows. If you hit subscribe, hit like and subscribe, as Bomber T says. Hit like and subscribe, everybody. We're at 21,469. And we've picked up almost 1,500 subs in the last 4 weeks alone. The channel is growing by leaps and bounds thanks to this man over here, Kevin Krueger. Thank you to everybody. But if you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you hit subscribe, make sure you click that notification bell. Every time we go live, you'll get a little alert. Hey, Krug's going live, and then you can jump in here and have your say. I got to thank people because this has been probably the most super chats. First of all, one of the biggest chats we had today. I forget what it topped out at, but it was a lot of people here. And then, we've got 84 super chats. 84 people donated today to this show. That's an amazing number of super chats. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the Niner fans, and thank you to all the Krug Show fans, and thank you to everybody who's supported this channel. We're trying to put out the best content we possibly can. When the season begins and they open up the locker room, I will be doing player interviews like I did a year ago, and I get along really good with a lot of the players. So we're going to get some great content, content that you're not going to find anywhere else, our own content. Right now, we're producing camp footage and camp videos, and we're putting out recaps of camp and giving you the practice rundown, trying to be as honest and accurate as we possibly can. We're putting together videos based on the live streams. We're doing about 10 to 15 live streams a week. And once the locker room opens at the beginning of the season, I'll go face to face with many, many players every week, and we'll bring you those interviews live on this channel on a regular basis, and you will not want to miss any of that stuff. And Fish and Chips says, don't be vanilla at the pressers, Larry. Have I been vanilla? If I have, I apologize. David says, great show, amigos. Keep it up. Digital Drew says, any interesting interviews on the horizon? Oh, as far as what we got. Yeah, tomorrow night, tomorrow night, JT the Brick's going to be on tomorrow night. So JT the Brick is a longtime voice of the Raiders. And I think he's going to be here tomorrow night at 7, and we'll do a live stream with him tomorrow night. I'm also probably going live on Grant's channel tomorrow at some point. But, yeah, JT the Brick on tomorrow night, Monday night, we'll do a full breakdown of what he thought of this game from a Raider perspective and somebody who's kind of looking at it from a different perspective than we are. We're so immersed in Niners. Sometimes I like to, go behind enemy lines and bring somebody from the other side in. And so JT's a friend. We've been friends for a long time. He'll stop by tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. Check that out tomorrow night on the channel. Kev, you got a final thought before we bolt for the door?
Thank you, everyone, for liking and subscribing. Content will keep coming out tonight. I think we'll probably drop one more video, and then tomorrow, lots of videos coming out dissecting the game. Yeah, like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Drop a comment. And Fish and Chips, just drop this comment right now. I just saw it. Kev, fill up your description boxes with all your availability each stream. Wait. With all your availability each stream. I'm not sure what that means, but what I did just do is update all the description boxes to include all of our links to our merch and our socials. And I will be updating that right now. So check that out in the link in the description. And good night.
Thanks, everybody. Peace. Kev, great job, man. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer the